You're walking home from school, or maybe you're waiting for the bus, and you're approached by maybe one or more persons, and those persons physically assault you. They give you a beat down, and this happens maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes maybe all week long. Sometimes maybe it's just on the weekend at the park. Other times, you're sitting at lunch and people are talking about you and they're snickering about you. And they don't like the way you dress. They don't like the way you wear your glasses. They don't like it because you wear headphones, maybe a hearing aid or something like that. Or maybe it's just your shoes, something simple as that. But you have a physical bully, and then you have a mental bully. And I think everybody's experienced bullying on some type of level. Whether you were the computer nerd, or you made fun of the computer nerds, or maybe it's, people that played sports. Maybe it's somebody that's, they play Kidditch. Maybe you're making fun of them, or maybe they're looking down on other people because you're not involved. But it's not fun to be on the receiving end of the bully or the group of bullies. And those situations of being bullied, you would like to stamp out those. You would like to end bullying, just totally. But in reality, things such as bullying, even in other areas of crime, it's not going to end. It's always going to remain. It's going to be something that you have to actually sometimes change your mindset to deal with. Sometimes it's not just your mindset. Sometimes it's you standing up for yourself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But changing your inner self, it's, probably something that you really need to look at in your response to the situation. And there's appropriate responses depending on the situation, whether it's physical or whether it's mental. But we can't have an overreaction. We can't have an underreaction. We have to have a reasonable and proper reaction to those things. And my intent is not to tell you how to handle bullying. I'm just merely here to discuss that bullying exists, and it more exists because it's just a way of life, so to speak. Because it's not something that's just made up on the fly, and it's not something that just kids do. It's something that kids have grown up around because they've seen their parents do it, or maybe they've seen their parents get bullied. And they still see it happen in everyday life, even when people want to say that bullying is less of a problem or not a problem, but still the young generation looks up at the older generation and can see bullying happen everywhere. It's happening in the schools, it's happening in the workplace, it's happening online. There's somebody out there that's bullying. You may not think of your behavior as bullish behavior, but it is in their eyes, and it kind of seems normal. Especially if you're a guardian or a parent, and your example online or even in your home is to have critical ways of talking about people or just bashing people in general without an explanation. Because when they see it, it's unjustified. It's just the same as they don't like somebody's coat at school and they make fun of them for it. So if they see the example at home, you're just talking about somebody because they're wearing their glasses funny, or, maybe they're wearing some funny color clothes, and it's just, it's a little harmless bashing session. They look at that as normal, and they carry that behavior into their lives. So a lot of the bullying has come from the example that they're given. So it's being a guardian, being a parent, or being a teacher, somebody that's a role model. You really have to evaluate the things that you say, or if you catch yourself saying some things like that, you really have to explain your point of view. I mean, even if it's wrong and you catch yourself, some of the behavior that's conducted is mainly comes from your ego, because you want to, on the inside, you want to remain dominant. It may not be jealousy. It may not be anything like that. Some of it is, but a lot of it is just your ego and how you respond to things, because you want to be the dominant, which I think is probably natural for people to want to be dominant. Others are more aggressive in it. Some aren't as aggressive. But what are you doing as a leader to be less of a bully and more an example of the way how younger people should act, or the role that they should follow? I think it's something that you really have to think hard about, especially in today's times. I mean, we have, our 2020 was a big year. People, just a basis in life is, the pandemic, things like wearing a mask. You have people out there that, criticizing the question of freedoms, but instead of questioning that as, in certain terms of freedoms, it's more of a bash session of somebody that either is conducting themselves in a hazardous way. Maybe they're not wearing a mask, or maybe they're wearing a mask. And then it becomes a debate of their political status, a representation of that. And all of these things are just, they're kind of, they don't have justification that follows them. If you're saying those things, the young generation are just seeing, the bashing. That's all they're seeing. They don't understand some of the points of views that you're coming from, some of the, the sciences that you're maybe using as a basis for your argument. So when the things are being said, they're not looked at as, scientific basis, or not looked at as an opinion. It's more looked at as you're just bashing somebody just because of the things they do. And it leads to not just being in the, face to face. It also leads to, things that you see online, things that like maybe your kids are seeing you do online, or seeing other people do online, and they reflect that behavior, but they don't have any idea because it's normalized. But take an example of, what they're seeing, and changing the types of behavior that you present into the world is, it's influencing to younger people. So the discussion should be open between the youth and the elder, and wisdom should have, the main influence, not vice versa, not the youth influencing the elder. But in some cases, that may be the influence that the youth is smarter than the elder, and the youth is telling the elder that they should stop their bullyish behaviors and the things they're doing. So if you're the elder, are you going to let your ego talk to you and tell you that you shouldn't listen to them and that you're right anyway and you shouldn't change your behavior? Or will it be a moment of self-reflection to where you can evaluate yourself? You can take a step back and analyze yourself, and then execute a new type of behavior, a new approach to things. Because I think it's something that needs to be done in everybody. I'm not saying everybody's right, not saying everybody's wrong, but at certain times you have to take a step back and you have to look at yourself from several different point of views and then make an evaluation of yourself and make changes. And you have to do that ever so often. You can't wait till the extreme until you're called out. You just have to do those things. And you will get criticized for it if you change. If you change some of your ways, people will notice and they'll call you out about it. And some will even call you a liar. But you're allowed to have a change. Hopefully a change for the better. But remember, when it comes to bullying, be the example.